Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled parent stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Karen leaves a fake tip at a restaurant. After that, don't turn in your paper. My kid needs to be noticed by the teacher. And after that, my Karen half-sister demands I pay for her plastic surgery. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to have any plastic surgery done. I'm not the one who needs it. My head doesn't look like a balloon. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Karen leaves a fake tip at a restaurant. Yesterday, my mom and I went out to a restaurant to get some dinner. We haven't been out to eat since before lockdown, so this was a treat for us. We got there before the dinner rush, so about 10 minutes after we were set and ordered, tons of people started turning up. One group was a family of 7. The parents, the girl, the boy, the 2 little kids, and a baby. They'd taken up 2 tables to the left of us and started up instantly with the noise. Our waitress was swamped. Her whole section got filled in the span of 5 minutes, so I didn't blame her for being stretched thin. But the dad next to us was audibly complaining about the crappy tier service. I heard him say, "I know how to get her attention," before we saw him pull out what I thought was a $20 bill. But then I saw the other side of it, and it was white with some text. I instantly knew what it was and was appalled. I watched him fold the 20 in half and tuck it under the ketchup. The waitress saw it too and brightened and was extra nice to them. I was disgusted because I was a server for over 10 years, so I've had people pull that on me, and it's devastating to be paid pennies and think, "Oh, I'm getting a good tip," only to have the rug yanked out from under you with one of those fake money Bible verse pamphlets. I told my mom I was going to tell the waitress, but she said for me to mind my own business. I told her what they were doing was crappy, and despite her hushing, I waved the waitress over when my drink got low and gestured for her to lean in a bit before whispering that the 20 the table had out was fake. It was just one of those pamphlets disguised as money. She looked stunned, but thanked me. Afterwards, it was pretty obvious that the table was getting the least amount of attention she could get away with giving them. She didn't ignore them, but they were definitely her absolute last priority. I guess they didn't like that and left ASAP, leaving the fake 20 there. And yeah, I saw her pick it up, check it, and then toss it. I felt really bad for her. She was clearly busting her butt. So I left her a really good tip, 3 times the usual amount I leave. On the ride home, my mom and I got into an argument. She was mad at me for being meddlesome in things that didn't concern me. But I think I did the right thing. I'd have wanted someone to tell me if I'd been in her shoes. I got mad and snapped that she was just as bad as those jerks who thought leaving a Bible verse was adequate payment. She yelled for me to not raise my voice at her, but I said I wouldn't have if she had been a decent person. But then my brother agreed with her, so now I'm at a loss. Was I the jerk for snapping at my mom? Am I the jerk? Well, what would you have done in this situation? Would you have informed the waitress what they were doing or not? Please let us know. I would have walked over there and got everyone's attention in the restaurant, then picked up the little pamphlet and exposed what these people were doing. The looks on their faces would have been priceless. Don't turn in your paper. My kid needs to be noticed by the teacher. Backstory. It's June, and in Bulgaria, it's exam time. All of your final exams, essays, etc. are packed into a week or 2. The story is about our philosophy teacher, and more precisely, her homework. She gave us the essay final. Basically, you write an essay as your final. It's cool because it's easy and not really read and remember. It's like, what would you do if something, and why would you do that? You get the idea. She gave us that 2 weeks before the turn-in deadline. That exact deadline was 3 days ago. On to the story now. So a week before the deadline, I was pretty much done, so I decided to show it to my entitled friend. He thinks he owns the world. I made a mistake showing it to him. The only thing he said was, "Nice, that looks great." Nothing less, nothing more. This happened in school. The essay was on my Google Drive. In the afternoon, I'm at home and I get a call from an unknown number. My first guess is that my phone carrier is offering me a new tariff plan since mine is close to expiration. Nope, I was wrong. It was my entitled friend's mom, entitled parent. I guess he gave my number to him. Karen. Hello, are you OP? Me. Indeed I am. How can I help you? Hey, this is entitled Friend's mother. He told me that you wrote a great-looking essay. Is that true? Me. I guess. I really like it. Well, can you not turn it in and give it to us? Excuse me? Why would I do that? Because my son really needs to be noticed. He's a really bad student. First of all, her son really is a bad student. One of the main reasons for that is because his parents constantly took him for unexpected vacations without studying for a fraction of a second and going with the excuse, I wasn't in class. Second, our teachers are not goats and don't graze grass. She'll notice that her worst student is now writing a great essay. Me. I am going to turn in my essay, the one I wrote. You didn't write it. My son did. You stole it. Yeah, whatever you say. All right, we'll be expecting it by Friday. A day before the deadline. Me. Whatever. I hang up. Of course I didn't. So Friday passed, Saturday, Sunday, and here we go Monday, today, the 21st of June. I already turned it in. Our teacher enters the room, checks if everyone is in class, and starts discussing the essays. Entitled Friend is in the beginning of the list of students, and she goes, Nice teacher. All right, Entitled Friend, it looks like you didn't turn in anything. Entitled Friend. That's not true. I've written an amazing essay, but OP stole it. Me. What? Nice teacher. What are you talking about? Entitled Friend. I showed OP my essay, and he stole it. It was on my Google Drive. Nice teacher. Can you show me? No, he stole it. Our teacher is pretty good with computers, to be honest. Nice teacher. Well, he can't delete it from your Google Drive, even if he stole it. It should be on your drive. Entitled Friend goes silent, and the teacher continues. I'm a bit later in the list. She comes up to my name and goes, OP, that's a great essay. It's really good. I really liked reading it. She went to everyone from the class. That was the end? Nope. We finished school, and on the way to the bus, I was stopped by a lady. It was the Karen, of course. Where do you think you're going? Me. Home? Not until you return to my son his essay and tell your teacher you lied. Me. If I say that, that's gonna be a lie. Shut up. So, just go tell the teacher and everything will be fine for you. Me. Excuse me? Are you threatening me? Yeah, you stole my property. So what was the essay about then? Son? He can't remember. Facepalm. Friend. Well, it was about a homeless man. Me. No. You changed it. You stole it and then you changed it. Me. First, don't yell at me. Second, even if I stole it and then changed it, that means it's no longer his. Of course it is. Whatever I say is his. My husband is a lawyer. He can take all your homework and give it to my son. Me, laughing. My nice teacher, who noticed this. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave OP alone. He stole my son's essay. Nice teacher. He doesn't even remember what it's about. Also, I checked OP's document. It was edited 1 week before the deadline, and your son turned in a blank document. He stole it. This is your last warning to leave him alone, otherwise I will call the police. Fine. Ugh. At least give my son an A. He deserves it more. Nice teacher, visibly confused. Sorry, but your son is the worst in my class. That's not possible. Ugh. And she walks away. That's it. I can't believe that happened over a philosophy final when we have 12 other classes he can work on. But no, let's do this over a philosophy and not math, for example. Thanks for reading. My Karen half-sister demands I pay for her plastic surgery. I, 32 male, was born from my mother, Clara, 57, her cheating. She's married to Greg. I have 4 siblings who are all sisters. A, who's 36, B, who's 34, C, who's 26, and D, who's 24. My grandparents have raised me because Greg refused to raise another man's kid, and there was no paternity test needed because I was mixed. I never even met my father and didn't know his name. My grandma was an American-Italian housewife. She was clearly my caretaker and for me, my only mama. Grandpa was very strict, but an also caring man and is/was always an idol to me. Both my grandparents were furious to my mother, not only because of her cheating, but because she abandoned me. This situation led to my grandparents' decision to make me the only one who inherits almost everything. My grandma passed at 64 from a heart attack, and grandpa passed at 71 with lung cancer. Grandpa had a life insurance, and I was the only beneficiary of almost $300,000. I got the house I was raised in marked value, $280,000, and last grandpa created a family fund with $400,000. I had to manage it. The rules for this fund are simple. I can only use it for emergencies, health, crisis like now, and only for me and my half-siblings. Clara and Greg are not included in this fund. Until now, I've paid for A's IVF for her fertility issues, nearly $40,000. Her health insurance hasn't covered it. And C's appendix removal, $15,000. Health insurance has covered a great part. So far, no problems. But D plans to have plastic surgeries, a whole package of it, all kinds of surgeries. It would erase nearly half of what is left in the fund. I refused because it's not an emergency. I would be okay with paying for plastic surgery if it was needed. Example, if an accident had happened, but she just wants her makeover for her boyfriend. Of course, we had an argument which was not so pretty, and they threatened to sue me. They had sued me before, but Grandpa had made sure everything was totally fine. So, am I the jerk if I stand on my feet? Mini update. I had a talk with all of my sisters, and it came out they had no clue about D's plans. My mother tried to enable D in her lifestyle, and now my other siblings are very upset. I have invited everyone to my house and made sure again that the fund is only for health issues. It turned into a screaming match between them. I just stood out of the conflict. So I haven't had any sleep yet, and I really have to go to bed. Many of you have asked why I paid for A's IVF, simply because it affected her mental health. Many of you asked if D has deformations. No, she's just an average-looking person for her age, but she wanted to be special, her words. Again, thanks for all your responses and have a great day. What would you do in this situation? Would you pay for her plastic surgery or not? Please let us know.
Of course not, but I would pay for some serious legal counsel on how to protect this money from those jerks.
Nothing beats scummy landlords during lockdown. I hated my old apartment, needed to desperately get out, and right when I was looking for rentals last year, lockdown hit and everyone shut down. With less than a week on my lease, I had to jump at the first available home. Didn't even get to inspect it. I ended up with equally horrible property managers. I didn't have a key on day one, had to break in to move in. They didn't tell me about the German roach infestation. It's okay, I used to do pest control, so I managed, and so forth. Right when I lost power during Christmas, also okay, I live in the South, I don't get too cold. I tracked down the original property owner and asked her if I could get out of the contract and just pay her directly. We investigated many options, and the best way to get out of the contract was to just pay for the last remaining months and write a 30-day notice. They call me and tell me that I have to write them a notice, signed and sent and received on the exact date 30 days from the lease's end to be accepted, or I will lose my $1,000 security deposit. They really stressed it had to be mailed and definitely on time, or they won't be able to accept it. Cue my pettiness. I wrote a template letter with a generic, "This is a number of days till lease end" day notice. I'm writing to terminate my contract and to receive my security deposit as stated. I sent one out on my 103-day notice, then another one on my 89-day notice, then another one on my 73-day notice, and so forth. Basically, whenever I remembered about it, I would change the date around, print it, sign it, and then mail it. They call me saying this is very unnecessary and that they got my message loud and clear, but they sounded pretty rude about it, so I sent some more. I then received some passive-aggressive emails that they will honor the contract and leave me the $1,000 deposit as I have sent them a 30-day notice, but they can be tricky, and as I haven't technically sent them an exact 30 days notice, I have some more letters to send. Plus, again, they sounded pretty rude over email. Cue the final 15-day countdown till my 30-day notice letter. I upped the ante. I now have one letter per day to send, and I've changed the fonts on each letter, ranging from Papyrus to Jokerman to Comic Sans. My favorite one is the one where it's all bright yellow and barely legible. It just hurts looking at it. Oh, and better yet, I got the last batch sent as certified mail, so I get an email that they received it and that they have to sign for it. On my 34th day notice letter, now probably the 20th letter I've mailed, I received my cashier's check back. No message or anything. Fortunately, I have 4 more letters to send. The best $43 on stamps I've ever paid. How my dad got a supermarket shut down for a day. My dad owns a small vending machine company, and for years, one of his accounts was the local grocery store. He had a couple machines in the back and the employee areas that were there for years. It was a weird little break room. It was on the 2nd floor, up a narrow staircase in the stock room. To get the machines in, originally, they had used the forklift and put them through a cargo door on the 2nd floor. Years later, the store had been bought by a generic regional grocery chain, and they decided to redo the whole back area. The new manager asked my dad to remove his machines as they were going to tear down the break room. We went down on the weekend to remove them and asked if they could lower them from the cargo door for us. The manager flipped out and flatly refused, telling us it wasn't her problem and to take them down the stairs. We measured everything and figured out that they were simply too wide to go down the narrow staircase and tried to explain the problem to the manager. Her reply was, "Cut the darn things in half, or I'll get a Sawzilla and do it myself." This was her critical mistake. The machines were very old and destined for the junkyard anyway, and she had just graciously offered to cut the machines in half for us. We went upstairs and took the stock plus the valuable electronic parts from the machine and left the useless shells there for her to sawzall at her pleasure. At the time, I had a friend who worked at the store who I had explained the situation to. She told me that the manager was awful and roundly disliked and some not-so-nice names that they referred to her by. A few days later, she called me up laughing. Apparently, they had planned to do the demolition overnight and open in the morning, but on the night of the demolition, there had been a major problem. 2 vending machines were still up in the break room, and they had deemed it unsafe to destroy the structure with them up there. Also, they had removed the forklifts due to the construction, so there was no way to get them down. Eventually, they had to attempt to cut the machines in half, but they're pretty tough, so it took way longer than expected. The end result was they ran far over time and had to keep the store closed a day to finish the teardown. The manager was still in charge there for a couple of years and used to glare at me anytime I was in there shopping. Am I the jerk for telling my friend I don't want to be her bridesmaid anymore? My friend, Mary, and I have known each other since we were kids. We've grown apart over the past few years, but she still considers me important enough to make me a bridesmaid. Her wedding is set to be in 3 weeks. One reason why I sort of distanced myself from her was because of her treatment of my relationship. My boyfriend, Jack, and I have been together for 3.5 years. He's a wonderful person, and there is no doubt in my mind that this is the man I want to marry. But Mary is under the impression that Jack is too good for me. Jack comes from a very wealthy background. His parents are certainly very wealthy. He was practically guaranteed a lavish life from the moment that he left the womb. This is in stark contrast to my childhood. I grew up in a low-income neighborhood, often wondering where my next meal was, or how I was going to help pay the bills at a young age, etc. I'm grateful and proud for where I am today. Jack is considered to be conventionally attractive, always looking like he should be on some magazine or billboard somewhere. Jack's good looks and background have led Mary to believe that Jack deserves better than me, as, according to her, there's no way I could have pulled someone so attractive and rich. It's pretty disheartening to hear those things constantly, and it does kind of take a toll on you, and the friendship. Whenever Jack is around, she's quite polite and respectful, never once making those comments. Eventually, the comments stopped. Mary invited me for lunch with her fiancé and his friend, Gary. From the moment I arrived, Mary and her fiancé were consumed in their own conversation, paying no attention to the both of us. It was fine, as Gary seemed to be a great lad with great chat. He asked me why I was single, and I told him that I was in a happy, committed relationship. He was very taken aback by my answer. He told me that Mary had set up a blind double date of sorts for the both of us. I was very confused and slightly angry. I didn't want to be confrontational at lunch, especially in public, so I just carried on with the lunch. Luckily, Gary wasn't upset and ended up making a few jokes about the whole ordeal. I called Mary later on in the day and asked her a ton of questions about why she thought it was okay to do that. At first, she tried to deny it, but then she tried to justify it by saying that
Gary is a man who's more in your league.
and since he was also a groomsman,
We needed to get you to know each other better.
I was shocked by her bluntness, so I just told her that I didn't want to be her bridesmaid anymore. Granted, it was a pretty impulsive decision, but I still stand by it. Mary didn't take it well, trying to apologize and saying that it was a mistake. It's been a few days, and her fiance has been texting me, asking me to stop it and just do it for the wedding. I feel petty and conflicted right now. Edit. Jack knows about the date. I wouldn't keep that from him. Well, what do you think? Should OP still be Mary's bridesmaid or not? Please let us know.
No, Mary is toxic and you need to cut her out of your life.
Am I the jerk for how I responded when my stepdad asked why I didn't bring him a Father's Day gift? Context. My mom remarried when my brother and I were kids. My brother never accepted my mom's marriage, neither had I, but my brother was honest and clear about how much he disliked my stepdad for treating us like second-class citizens, forcing us to stay home and not visit family on every holiday. We had no birthday parties and were forced to work as assistants in his auto shop. My brother was isolated because of his attitude towards our stepdad and was sent to live with my aunt 8 hours away for 2 years, and I remember begging mom to take me to see him, but she said my stepdad is the one with a car and couldn't take me. I kept in contact with my brother after he was banned from the house. I was 14 at the time and couldn't travel to see him. He ended up passing a week before my 15th birthday. I was devastated I wasn't able to see, hug, or vent to him one last time. My mom got busy with my half-sister, but gradually I was forced to care for her because of my stepdad saying God sent her instead of my brother. I love my sister, but I was still broken because of what had happened with my brother, and I wasn't ready for this. I moved out at 19. My mom helped with money, and we maintained a relationship, but I never visit except my mom's family, my grandparents, my aunts and uncle, and my half-sister. I see my stepdad there occasionally, and I ignore him but act civil. We were gathered at my grandpa's house for Father's Day. I brought my grandpa and uncle gifts, and they were happy to receive them. My stepdad spoke up and said I should have given him a gift as well since he is a father figure to me, then asked why I didn't. I laughed and told him not to worry. I'll get him a gift on Narcissist Day. Most of the family bursted into laughter. My stepdad's face turned red, and he was about to blow up after hearing my response, then excused himself to the bathroom. Mom was very upset with me, but waited until I was alone, and she got mad at me for treating her husband like this, and shames me for basically calling him a narcissist in front of her family. She said she won't let me leave until I've apologized profusely for not getting him a gift, and then doubling down and being spiteful and humiliating him in front of everybody. But I refused to do it and told her off. My aunts were upset too and thought it was an inappropriate response from me and ruined Father's Day for my stepdad who's done a lot for me. Was I the jerk for how I responded? I'm a 24-year-old male, by the way. Sorry for the confusion. Leave immediately? Bad idea, but okay. It's been a while since I've had a tale for this sub. I'm the whole IT department in the city for the crunchy food company that makes and distributes fried potatoes in my country. We'll be calling them Mr. Tato. Now, as any other big company with distribution chains, Mr. Tato relies heavily on its communication infrastructure, which makes maintenance both important and hard to schedule. This night in particular, me and my contractor buddies were scheduled to do maintenance to the electrical outlets that go to the site rack, which of course will cause internet downtime. We arrive on site. All is normal. Enter the site, I turn off all networking equipment, procure some fried goodies, and settle down while my people start doing their work. Then trouble comes when I'm contacted by Mary, the boss guard lady. Now, Mary is super nice. I have a good relationship with the security guards on the sites I work with, in part because they are usually great to drink with, in part because it always pays to get along with security. Mary tells me she was not aware we were having a midnight rendezvous with the site, which is weird because this whole thing is set up weeks in advance. She tells us to carry on, but contacts her boss. I never met her boss, but as first impressions go, this was not going to be a good one. Boss was mad. He is irate that we are working in his precious building without his knowledge and appalled that we would just march in and do the work we were scheduled to do without giving him proper tribute. Apparently, he was never CC'd on any of the multiple work emails needed to coordinate the whole thing during the previous weeks. He demands we stop what we are doing immediately and leave the premises. I try to explain myself, but he is fresh out of hoots to give. Hangs up on me. I talk to Mary and explain to her what her boss actually did. And then me and my buddies comply, giggling with anticipation. Leaving immediately means we leave the electrical work half done, the site with no power, whole building with no internet, and just go. I know how this is gonna go. They know how this is gonna go. The guards know how this is gonna go. I just park outside, buy myself an energy drink, and call my supervisor first and the location manager second. Then I sit down with my buddies and the guards and enjoy the drama. See, with the site down, there's no internet, and sales cannot be made. Shipping cannot be sent. Cargo cannot be loaded. Orders cannot be put together. Every working hour without operation cost Mr. Tato himself a loss of tens of thousands of dollars. The site works 24/7, and labors were going to resume in about 3 hours. This is not obscure arcane knowledge. This is something every serious Mr. Tato employee knows. The guards are outsourced, and still they know. But because I have explained it to them in detail over drinks, and because occasionally I need to come running at 3 in the morning when something fails and stops operations, management rained hard on security guy. For a full hour, I heard him call the guards, blaming them for not explaining the situation correctly, all the while maintaining we can't work the site. Finally, at 12:30, he folds. We go in. Half an hour later, we are out. Site is powered up, all services are working, and people can come into work ignorant to how close they came to doom. What will become of security guy, I wonder? Hopefully, he learns something. Am I the jerk for not going to family dinners because they fit the time with my sister's schedule and never mine? I, 20, female, work full-time, 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. I'm currently working from home due to world events. I also live on my own. My sister, who's 18, goes to college classes in the evenings and works a couple of days a week. Ever since my sister has started her evening college classes a couple months now, every family event is centered around her schedule. Her college classes start at 5 in the evening, so our schedules overlap. Meaning, if we have dinner, they eat before I'm off work to coordinate with my sister. So when I get there around 5:15 to 5:30, I'm stuck eating alone while everyone else has already ate or sometime is already leaving. The issue in this matter is my grandma's birthday party. My mom put it together. Same sort of deal. My sister had class, I had to work until 5. I asked if instead of centering it around my sister's schedule, if she could be the one to eat early, and we fit into my schedule this time. My mom said it made more sense to fit around my sister's schedule. When I asked why, because I literally couldn't think of a difference it would make, she said, it just does. I spoke with my grandmother, and she said she would wait to eat with me, but everyone else wouldn't. She also could not understand the reasoning behind it, but she said since she was not the one cooking or planning, she didn't feel she had much control over it. I told my mom that unless we could start alternating, fitting with my sister's schedule one time, then mine the next, I would just start skipping out on family dinners, and that it was not fun to always have to be the one eating alone. My mom told me I was being a jerk and immature about the whole thing. I just don't feel it's fair the way we're doing it right now. Mine and my sister's are the only schedules that need to be worked around. Am I the jerk here? Editing to clarify a couple of things. Weekend dinners are not usually an option as my grandmother still works, by choice, on the weekends. So weekday evenings are usually better as she's not working. These family dinners are not a nightly thing, more of a couple of times a month thing for things like birthdays, graduations, or sometimes just to eat, but it's not nightly, more like a couple times a month. My sister does not live at home either. She lives with her boyfriend, whole different train wreck, so she's driving to my mom's as well. Only adding this to clarify that they definitely could alternate between us since she is having to come over as well. They just don't. My parents are divorced and this is my mother's side of the family, so my dad has no input here. I do provide some of the food for the dinners as well. Sometimes I will bring a dessert or something, but usually I will provide some of the food that will be cooked, like meat to be grilled as an example, since I can't bring a side dish because everyone has already eaten before I get there. Well, what would you do in this situation? Would you stop going to the family dinners or not? Please let us know.
I'd still go. Food is food, bruh, but that's just me.
2 for 1 idiot combo. I work at a brunch place in the USA, and had these two interactions not even 5 minutes apart. Guest 1 orders the Eggs Benedict, and after receiving their food, flags me down. "Excuse me, I ordered the Eggs Benedict, which was supposed to come with Canadian bacon. They gave me ham instead." I glance at the plate, which definitely has perfectly round and brown slices of Canadian bacon, and reply, "Yeah, that's actually our Canadian bacon. Looks correct." "No, this looks like ham to me." It was then I realized someone needed an education on different cuts of pork. Our Canadian bacon is from a different cut of pork than regular bacon, so it looks similar to ham but has a slightly sweeter taste. If you prefer, I can get your Benedict remade with bacon strips instead. Guest 1 grumbles and declines, their hunger forcing them to resign to the food already in front of them. Guest 2 orders the red velvet chicken and waffles, says they're lactose intolerant. I advise them they do contain buttermilk, so would not be lactose free. I automatically omit the cream cheese frosting because cream cheese, lots of lactose. She throws in a side of eggs, and I ask how she wanted them cooked. "How do they come?" they ask as my mind races, thinking, "Have you never ordered eggs before in your life?" Before rattling off, "Scrambled, over easy, etc." Guest blurts out, "Scrambled," to which I mention, "Absolutely, we can have that made with cracked eggs only, no milk." I should have known something was up when I received a confused glance, but she said nothing of it. Their order is brought out, and the guest asks for a side of whipped cream and says that we forgot the cream cheese frosting. I again warn them that these items definitely contain lactose. They respond, "Yeah, that's fine." Was this a made-up allergy, or does this person not know the types of food they can or can't eat? I guess we'll never know. Watch this video next, you're gonna love it.
And join as a channel member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video.